I don't think I can ever go back and work for someone again. You know, once you become an entrepreneur, it's either in your blood or it's not. And I did a lot of things that weren't my normal business model. And I think a little bit of it, I devalued the brand because I was just trying to get, whatever business I could. And so once, you could start being around people again, it was really hard to get that value back.
How did you feel about once you joined kind of having that structured networking process?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing that BNI did for me in the very beginning was made me accountable every day to work on my business instead of just being in it and, editing and doing the shoots and all that. But
if you have cancer, it's a pretty life-altering moment. I'm imagining that changes you, more so than other things just changing jobs does when you have a health scenario like that.
Absolutely. It's pretty scary, but at the same time, it's one of those things that kind of launches you into a different mindset that, it's all going to work out, and it's not life or death,
Right.
It's business and it's part of what we do, but it's not the end of the world. It's not life or death,
Welcome to the Perfect 100, the podcast for BNI members who want to maximize their membership, deepen their impact, and grow their business through intentional networking. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, a CliftonStrengths coach, longtime BNI leader, and one of the few members worldwide to maintain a perfect Power of One score. Each week, we'll explore the habits, mindsets, and everyday strategies of BNI members who are turning their membership into momentum. Hello and welcome back to the Perfect 100. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, and I hold the business coach seat in the East Memphis chapter. Today's conversation is a very special one. My guest, Kelly Day, and I go back to her early days of building a business. When we first started working together, she was transitioning out of a corporate leadership position and stepping into full entrepreneurship a little bit earlier than planned. What followed was a season of reinvention, from corporate sales leadership to full-time photographer to commercial real estate, and now building a residential real estate brand while recruiting agents under her leadership. And through that evolution, BNI has been part of the structure. So if you're a BNI member, you're working towards getting those CEUs up, listen closely. There are a lot of good lessons coming up about timing, discipline, reinvention, and how consistency compounds over time. Let's jump in. Hey, Kelly.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. I'm so glad to have you here.
And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so before we get started, let's do what we always do here, is give us your quick commercial, BNI, 45 seconds. Let's go.
Perfect. My name is Kelly Day. I'm with simpliHom, and I am a residential real estate agent here in the Memphis metro area. My best clients are those that have inherited homes. So if you know anybody that has inherited a home or have a loved one that has passed away, I would love to speak to them, because right now they're feeling nervous, they're confused, they're overwhelmed, they're fighting with their siblings, and there's so much going on, and I can help make that process simple for them. So if you hear things like, my parents just moved into hospice, or I just lost a loved one and I don't know what to do with their belongings, I can help them come up with a plan to not only take care of all the items inside the house, also sell the house. I'm Kelly Day with simpliHom, where we make buying and selling a home simple.
All right. So before we get into all the fun business stuff, can you take me back, tell me a little bit about your childhood, what environment did you grow up in, a little bit maybe about your parents, tell me more.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't expecting that question, but so I grew up in a small town called McMinnville, Tennessee. It's right between Nashville and Chattanooga. My dad was a golf pro at the local country club, so I was a country club brat. I used to ride around in the golf carts and do stupid things, and played golf and did dance and all kinds of things. I left McMinnville for Memphis in 1991. I did dance growing up, so that was kind of my main thing. And I got an opportunity to dance for the University of Memphis, which was Memphis State back then, by the way. Okay. And so that's how I got to Memphis, and I have not left since. So here I am.
What kind of dance?
Pom, kind of like people compare it to cheerleading, but it's very different. If you ask any cheerleader or pom, they're going to tell you it's not the same, but people compare them. So yeah. Okay.
Awesome. And were you naturally competitive, independent, or was that something else? Tell me more about that. Your own personal self.
Yes. Okay. So I'm a middle child, and I fit that to a T. I'm one of those that is always trying to keep the peace in the family, but I'm also very competitive because I had an older and a younger. And so, always trying to get the attention. So yeah, definitely competitive. And funny enough, I actually married a coach. So, between the two of us, we were hyper competitive.
Yes, we're going to talk more about the whole scene at your house a little bit later. But when you were kind of coming up through growing up, were you feeling like, I'm going to go work a corporate career? Or did you always have you feel like that little entrepreneurial bent in the background?
I think I always had it in the background, but when I went to school for interior design, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and all that, but I just didn't think there was enough money in it. And so all my friends were like, "Oh, go into sales. That's where the money is." So that's what I did, and that's how I got into the corporate world. And I enjoyed it. I made a lot of great connections, a lot of friends. I learned a lot, and so I think what I learned there helped me in what I'm doing today. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it's always you and I know each other, so I was corporate, obviously, and I've said that here many times on the podcast. But I think it's a great way to work within when you're trying to build your own thing. It's good to see somebody else's very intricate big thing that you're a cog. You feel like a cog in the machine, but being that cog gives you different insight that you understand. The company, several of the companies. Well, I work for some ones that have been around for a very long time. Excuse me, but I've also worked for ones that were small and then got much bigger. So kind of seeing that evolution lets you understand kind of where you want to take it, from the inside out, which is kind of a different set of eyeballs, which is interesting, right?
Exactly.
So when you look back to your childhood, what shaped you most, do you think, about how you hold yourself today and, the responsibilities that you carry?
Oh, wow. I guess probably it started with my dad. He is, I don't want to say a perfectionist, but he was very strict on, us doing what we're supposed to do and doing the right things and holding ourselves accountable. So, I think I probably got most of that from him. He was very competitive growing up too. He played basketball and golf and some other things. So I think I got that from him. And just, having coaches throughout the middle school and high school age, when you're really developing who you are, having them that would, help you strive for the best. Even in high school, our dance team was #1 in the nation. And so we just were always, super competitive and always had to be the best and creative and innovative in our ideas. And so I think between my dad and my coaches, that really stirred that part up in me.
Nice. And you've carried that on. So you have 2 boys that are in competitive baseball and your husband is a coach. So what feels familiar about watching them now grow up in sort of that same environment? Does it kind of tie back to your upbringing, or, is that a completely different experience now?
No, it ties right in. And it's so funny to watch them because I can feel what they're feeling because I've been there. And so it's just really cool to watch them, do the things outside of practice and go the extra mile and, all the things that they have to do to be the best. And it makes me really proud, one, but it's funny because that's exactly how I am in my business world now. And so it's really cool to watch. It's like seeing a mirror.
Full circle.
Yes, absolutely.
How old are they? I don't know. How old are they now?
Yeah, so Chandler is my oldest. He's 19 and he's at the University of Tennessee. And then Cannon is my youngest and he's 16 and he's a sophomore at Houston High School.
Okay, awesome. All right. So if we look back, I'm telling everybody about your corporate background. So you spent nearly a decade at Icon and Rico in several states, and both in leadership roles, so including national accounts and managing reps. What did those corporate sales structures teach you about, moving forward in performance?
I think the biggest thing that I learned, I was there for 17 years, and the biggest thing that I learned, I think, is how to network. When I was doing national accounts, I only had a handful of accounts. And so being able to network within each of those organizations really taught me that it's not just about what you know, but it's about who you know. And, you could meet one person in the accounts payable department. Well, they know someone over in legal. And so it's just a way to branch out into all areas of that company. I think that really taught me a lot about networking. And I didn't realize it at the time until I became an entrepreneur that that's what it was. But looking back, I can see that was a huge piece of helping me be successful today.
Yeah, building your brand is all about, who knows who you are, right?
Yes, absolutely.
No matter what you're doing, whether it's an internal, if you work for a company or you're building your own business, and it's all the same. It's just, who
Right.
knows you and who at the end of
Yep.
the day. So, all right. And you moved from individual contributor to managing a team. What did you feel shift between one to the other?
It's hard because when you're a manager, you're trying to influence the way somebody works on a daily basis, and you want to help them remove any obstacles so that they can perform at their best ability. And I don't think I had the skill set back then to really be my best as a manager. It was a really short time that I managed a group, and I learned early on that I needed to develop my skills to be a better manager. But I think now that I've grown as an entrepreneur and I've done so many coaching and learning, even with you, you've taught me a lot, Tammy. Going through all of that has made me a better manager now that I'm in a managerial role at simpliHom. So.
Yeah, love that. It's, you never quite, when you look back, I think you and I have both been photographers, and it's a very, it's akin to when you look back at your very first work, and if you, after years, you go back and you're like, woo.
What was that?
Yeah, and I'm learning to paint now, and I look at what I was doing when I first, it's been a year and a half, but I look back at the beginning. I was showing a new student comparison to the exercise she was working on, because people start all the time, and we kind of, it's a progression of things, and I went and pulled the same thing she was working on of mine, and I was like, wow. I'm like, look how bad I was compared to where I am now. So, and it's management's like that. People, dealing with people is a process that you have to, unfortunately, a lot of it's trial and error, until you figure out what works for you, right?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So I love that. So you said we worked together. So you actually came to me when we were both photographers. So I was a mentor in a big group that Kelly was a part of, and she came to me. We live in the same city. She came to me, and we talked about the mentoring. And it's funny because we live in a similar. We're not very far from each other, and I remember at that time, people were coming to me going, why would you mentor someone in your own city? Isn't that your competition? And I'm like, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a million people here. So even if I live for, a really long time, could I really photograph all those people where I can't afford to have someone else that's good in my city?
Right. It was just leveling up the I guess the brand of the style of photography that we were doing at the time, just leveling that up and getting more exposure, I think helped both of us.
Yes, for sure. Well, and it ties a little bit to B&I, because I know there are people, we have one seat per chapter. So, but somebody will come in and they do what you do. And, some people get their feathers ruffled. Like, you can't invite somebody that does what I do. And we have to kind of take a step back and go, really? Because, first of all, if you've built relationships here, do you think that them coming in for one meeting and giving one, 35-second, 40-second commercial is going to make them come away from you? And if it does, maybe we need to look in the mirror and say, maybe we need to change some things.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
The reason I bring that up, though, is you came to me initially wanting to transition out of corporate, which is a lot of people that I've worked with. They were working in a corporate job or a job for someone else and deciding I would really love to work for myself. And you were wanting to make that a slower transition, but hello, somebody got a note one day saying, guess what? You're going to do this a little bit faster. So how did that feel at that moment?
Well, it's funny because I talk about with my kids and my husband too about, I don't think I can ever go back and work for someone again. Once you become an entrepreneur, it's either in your blood or it's not. And so for me, it was 100% in my blood, and I can never go back. But at the time, it was really scary because I had an opportunity to either take a different position in the company, which really competed with what I was doing before. Before, we were all about process improvement and reducing labor and, paper and all that, to going to, selling people to do these processes. It was a complete opposite mindset. And I don't know, I didn't feel good about selling that. So I was able to take a severance instead and use that to launch my photography business. So during that moment, it felt like, okay, this is the universe telling me, Kelly, it's time. Like, you've been wanting to do this a long time. And so just go do it now. And I'm so glad I did. Even though I didn't stay in it as long as I had planned originally, I think it taught me so much about entrepreneurship that now that I'm in real estate, it has just really helped a ton.
Yeah, and that journey is never, it's never a straight line. I don't think for anybody. Excuse me. I think that that we gather the experiences we're supposed to gather in order to be on the road to where we're supposed to go, right? So. I've made a similar journey. Although I was coaching, half my business was coaching while I was doing photography, and I just rolled into that full time. But I feel like that set of skills that you learn, no matter what it is you're doing, you're picking up new things that are molding what's the future's going to look like, right?
Yeah.
So without it, it was for me, it was just one more tool in the toolkit.
Right.
Yeah. So when you went all in, there was not really a safety net necessarily. So what did you realize quickly about running a business that corporate did not prepare you for?
Gosh, the amount of hours that you would actually work, I felt like I had to be out all the time and always in front of people and talking to people to, continue to bring business to the studio. So that was hard. And then finding time to also edit, just, it taught me that entrepreneurs don't sleep. We work 24/7, it seems like. And it's not like you can go to work and then turn it off when you come home. It's pretty much 24/7. So,
yeah. Well, and when we were working together, one of the things I recommended was to join BNI, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you feel about once you joined kind of having that structured networking process?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing that BNI did for me in the very beginning was made me accountable every day to work on my business instead of just being in it and, editing and doing the shoots and all that. But I had to think about, okay, who is my client avatar? Who am I looking for? What is a good referral for me? And, just being accountable to think about that every week before I showed up. Because before it was just like, okay, who do I know? Who do I know? And,
Right.
Just trying to talk to everybody I could. This was a way for me to think about, okay, who do I really want to photograph? And how can I get them? So,
were there any big surprises when you first joined, if you can remember back to those first, early days?
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I missed. I had like 17 phone calls. I was like, oh my gosh, I just missed one meeting. Like, but later I realized, if you don't tell anyone you're not coming and you just don't show up, like these are people that care about you and they're your friends, and so they're genuinely like, are you okay? Like, what happened?
Yeah, that's
So,
hilarious.
yeah.
Suddenly now people want so it's a level of accountability, right? So which is, I'm sure they cared, make sure nothing bad happened to you, but it's also an accountability thing. So how did that weekly accountability affect your business, do you think?
I know if I refer someone in my chapter that they are going to give the best service that they can, because they have to look at me every single week. And if they do a bad job or something goes sideways, or, things happen in business, we can't please everyone. And I just know that they have to look at me every week and vice versa. So I'm going to do my best for my BNI people. I do my best all the time anyway, but I know that I'm going to follow up and let them know how it's going, and, just make sure that everything is up to my standards, especially if it's a BNI referral.
Right. Yeah, I love that. When we're going to give people to someone that we value, I guess is the best way to put that, is we want to make sure that they're worthy of the value. So it goes both directions, as you've said. So, it's important that when somebody sends me something, I try to do my best to make sure that, not that I wouldn't anyways, like you said, but
Right.
there's like that extra little thing in the back of your head going,
Yes.
these people, or I'm going to see these people every single week. That's an accountability that matters, not that it wouldn't matter otherwise, but it's just
Right.
a little more in front of you. So you were building your business while your kids were in competitive baseball and you were traveling all around. So how did you manage those two things together?
Gosh, I live by my calendar. I always have, even when I was doing corporate work. I live by my calendar, and just, keeping time blocks on my calendar to make sure that I had time to get everything done that needed to get done. Like back in the photography days, it was the editing. That was just a big part of making sure that you stay on your deliverables, and that, clients are not waiting 3 and 4 weeks to get their pictures back. And so just doing the time blocking, and then taking my computer on the road. Travel baseball is not for the faint of heart. And so it was a lot. So I would try to cram all the shoots in, within 2 or 3 days, and then I could edit while I was on the road. Just a lot of planning, really.
Yeah, you had to be on top of your game and make sure you're. Did you portion out time for growth? Was that just simply BNI was kind of the focus there, or how did that work?
Yeah, BNI was really my biggest growth engine. And I tell people all the time, like new members that are thinking about joining, when I first started, BNI made up probably that first year about 30% of my business. Then it grew to about 50%. And then it leveled off around 30 after, because then once you have more clients, they're going to refer you to. So you can attribute that back to BNI, but I'm talking about direct BNI referrals.
Right.
So it made up a huge part of my business all the way up, until COVID.
Yeah. Well, and I think I did once upon a time, I went back and looked at, those tributaries, you get one and it's for no matter what you do in BNI, right? But I looked at the original setup when I very first started, referrals that I was getting, and then they branch out and so on. And it's literally like almost everybody was started, it had the roots in the ground from BNI, and it just kind of spawns out from there. So it's pretty cool when you look back over 10 years and you're like, wow, that's, amazing how that goes. So you decided to move into commercial real estate. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there were some life changes that happened, and then COVID. So in 2020, when COVID happened, and you're photographing people, it's really hard to keep that business going. So I did a lot of things that weren't my normal business model. And I think a little bit of it, I devalued the brand because I was just trying to get, whatever business I could. And so once, you could start being around people again, it was really hard to get that value back. And I had some other things that happened. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I knew that I was going to need time to go to procedures and do all of those things. And, if I'm hustling so hard at photography and, really chasing every deal, it would be hard to do that and make enough money to pay for the medical bills and all that. So I had a friend reach out. Well, my brother's been telling me forever. He always thought I should do real estate. And I just didn't want to do nights and weekends because that's when the kids are playing and I don't want to miss their games. Right. So I went to commercial because that's more 8 to 5. You can take days off and, all of that. And so I did that, and I learned a ton about the real estate business, just, how deals process, what information is needed, how to look at properties from an investment perspective. And I loved it. Like I had a really amazing time, and I loved the partners that I worked with, Brian and David. I almost forgot his name, but Brian and David were my two partners. And so we had a really good time. It was just right at that point when I started, the interest rate started rising. And from an investment perspective, it got really hard for investors to find deals that worked for them. And so the market just dictated a change for me again. And that's how I got to residential. And I don't know why I didn't start in residential. I mean, I know why, but I wish now going back, I would have started in residential, but I guess I learned things in commercial that I needed to know to be successful here. It's one of those, I learned a lesson somewhere. So
yes. And again, having been someone in multiple different industries, I get it, right? Is that it used to be when you were growing up, my parents' age, they would go to work for one company and stay there for 30 years and retire. And that's gone by the wayside for, it's been probably 15 or so, maybe more years where it kind of got to be about 7 was the average. And now with millennials, that's even shifted as they're not happy. They're just moving on. Join the Art Academy of Memphis. Master the skills needed to create stunning, realistic oil paintings. With expert instruction, you'll refine your craft. Enroll today at artacademyofmemphis.com. It feels, at least for someone my age, it feels like, oh man, here I go again, reinventing myself,
Right. Agreed.
And I think if you go through a major life, if you have cancer, it's a pretty life-altering moment. I can only imagine. You and I, we know each other, and we've talked about this before. And I haven't shared this here, but I guess I will. I have had a lump, and I know at the moment they were like, you need to go and have surgery and get that out, and we're gonna wait and see what happens. And that your whole it just impacts your whole life because you can't think of anything but. And then I was fortunate; it was benign, but you had this, had to go through that yourself, and so that's a whole nother level of
I'm imagining that changes you, more so than other things just changing jobs does when you have a health scenario like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's pretty scary, but at the same time, it's one of those things that kind of launches you into a different mindset that, it's all going to work out, and it's not life or death,
Right.
it's business and it's part of what we do, but it's not the end of the world. It's not life or
Yeah.
death,
Yeah, for
so
sure. Yeah, it gives you a lot of positives, I guess, from that. It changes things for the better when things get better. So that's a good thing.
yes.
So during that transition, somewhere in there, you joined my chapter. So what did you learn from being in your previous one to being in mine? And you've subsequently, we'll talk about that in a minute, but tell me about that.
Yes, I say, let me get back up. One of the things that didn't work with your chapter was just the time of day. In the business that I'm in, it's really hard to break away during the lunch hour because there's not a lot happening in the mornings in real estate. That's when all my research is being done, all the kind of computer work. But like once the day starts after 10, you're in front of people all the time, and it was just really hard to get away. But I loved that chapter. You guys are amazing. But coming from a chapter and then going to a different one, you've built all these relationships in the original one. And so it was really hard to, I'm a big B&Ir. So if you're in my chapter, you're getting referred. That's just who I am. That's how I operate. And so even though I had relationships in the other chapter, it was just hard. So
we definitely have had, I don't know how many people have changed chapters, come and go. There's an endless amount of, let's go to this one or that one for various reasons. Life happens. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But I was curious because, it's real. It's people do it. So, and now you've gone back. So one of the reasons you left that one is you were switching to residential, and they didn't have a residential seat open. So
correct.
then they did. And so then you were able to come back to where you had originally sowed the ground, so to speak.
Yes. I went back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's completely normal. Was there any strategy involved in kind of moving into residential and then kind of tapping back into your original group that you brought to life?
I don't know about strategy. Really, what worked for me the most is our chapter meets earlier in the day. And so that was really the biggest thing for me, was being able to, start my day with B&I, and then I can move into, work activities or whatever. So that was really the biggest thing. But, I did have relationships with the people that are in the chapter. And so going back, it was really easy to refer them because I already know, like, and trust them, which is one of the big things that we learn in B&I. So.
Yeah. Well, and you've since become the president of said chapter. All right. So we're going to roll over to your power of one now and your report. So let's see how Kelly's doing as the president. Oh, wait, she has a perfect 100. She's doing great. So I don't need to read all the numbers because they're all 20 in the green, which equal 100. So good job to you. I do want to go over your Palms report, and Kelly sent me her whole year's report. I just kind of snippeted it a little bit down just because it wouldn't all fit on the screen if people are watching. So the numbers are 41 weeks worth of numbers. Absences, none, because she's had subs for, if she had, there's a few subs in there, but otherwise present. So no absences. Referrals given inside. Let's see if I can see this. 26. Referrals received outside 76. Referrals given inside 26. Referrals given outside 76. Referrals received inside 3. Referrals received outside 21. Visitors 7, one-to-ones 158. Thank you for closed business given 117,080, and CEUs 57. So one thing that did catch my eye on here is there were a couple weeks where you had double digit, like almost triple digits. One-to-ones, not triple digits. That's exaggerating, but you had like 19 one week and 30 another. Tell me about that.
Okay, yeah. So when I became chapter president, I felt like the relationships between members were, just like I would go to the same person all the time. Like they were just doing one-to-ones with individuals that they could refer business back and forth. And so what I wanted to change was for us to become friends and all of us to like each other and hang out more. So I developed, we did walk and talk on Tuesdays. We would do a coffee meeting once a month. We would do a lunch meeting, a happy hour, and a after hours or family event. So there was 5 opportunities every month for people to get out and do one-to-ones with their BNI peers. And the way that we would count one-to-ones is they had to have a conversation about business back and forth. It couldn't be just everyone at the table if 30 people were there. So, but yeah, so just having those events and of course being the president and really launching that this year, I had to go to all of them. So I did get a lot of one-to-one in that way. So yeah.
Awesome.
And then I also did, as a residential real estate agent, open houses. And there are a lot of people in home services in our chapter that would sponsor these open houses for other agents to come and look at the houses. So as a way for me to introduce them to new agents. And then also we would get one-to-ones in while we were there too. So there's just a lot of different ways, more creative, I guess, than just the standard one-on-one.
Yeah, so thinking outside the box is always a good thing, and the one-to-one doesn't always have to be the, very this, that, or the other. They can happen in different ways, which often we found in my chapter that if you can give people activities, like we were trying to grow, so we did different types of visitor events, and we let the people who are in the chapter decide what they would be. So it's not just okay, everybody's going to mail out 30 letters, like kill me. It's going to be like I did speed networking because that was all about that, right? So we created events together that individually work for ourselves. So if you create 5 different things, you're going to grab different people for different things that appeal to them. So I love that.
Exactly.
So when you see the perfect 100, what does that mean to you? What does it represent?
Well, again, being competitive, I always want to do my best. And sometimes it's hard, it's hard. But when I became the president, I made my mind up that I was going to lead by example. And so I do try to do all the right things, BNI. And sometimes it's hard, getting visitors is not easy. That's probably my biggest struggle. And so, but I just wanted to set the example and do the things that I'm asking everybody else to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Any particular habits that protect you from, keep you so you're going to have that outcome?
Pretty much everything else. I'm not worried about any of the numbers because they're just going to happen naturally based on the business that I'm in and the people that are in my group. But the visitor one, I started keeping a spreadsheet of everybody that I had invited before, and I just re-invite them over and over and over. And then this year was our 30th birthday for our chapter. So we did have this big birthday party where we invited all the past members and anybody that had ever visited before. And so we had a really big turnout for that. And we ended up with so far 2 new members, and we have 2 applications that came in since then too. So total of 4.
Love that. So it's like being in business. When somebody says no to you once, does that mean they're no forever? No. For those of you
Absolutely not.
For those of you that were listening, she mouthed no.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, it's somebody said that in my chapter recently that if you invite somebody once and they don't show up, and then you just stop calling them, they're probably never going to show up again. But,
Right.
I keep after people because, things happen. I had 2 people invited last week and neither one of them came. One, right after the meeting, one of them was like, I have the flu. I'm sorry. I didn't want to, I'm like, thank you. I don't want to be sick either. And the other one was like a last minute meeting popped up that he had to go to. So, but I'm on it this week. So are you coming this week? Follow up is a good thing in no matter what you do. Yeah. So how has BNI contributed specifically to your real estate growth?
It has been amazing. When I switched to residential and came back to the BNI Germantown chapter, I have received, I wish I knew the number, but I would say out of all the transactions I did last year, it made up about 1/3 of those transactions. And even this year, I've gotten so many already. It's just amazing. Like I have one that I got just yesterday. This lady has 4 different houses, one that she lives in and 3 investment properties. And so that's 4 transactions that I'll get just from that one referral.
Awesome. Love that. All right, and so let's roll over to your CliftonStrengths because you have said several things that are particularly close to your strengths. So for the folks at home, I will read these that are not seeing the screen. Your number one is Relator. You enjoy close relationships. You find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. And number two is command. You have presence. You can take control of a situation and make decisions. Number three, positivity. You have contagious enthusiasm. You are naturally upbeat and can energize others. Number four is futuristic. You vividly imagine the future. You inspire and energize others with your vision of what could be. And number five is activator. You can make things happen by turning thoughts into action. You want to do things now rather than simply talk about them. And because you've done your full 34, we'll show those as well. So the remaining top 10 are number 6 is responsibility, number 7 is learner, number 8 is competition, number 9 is focus, and number 10 is achiever. And I also wanted to point out here that had Kelly only done her top 5, she had 2 things that were tied. So there's the theme, which is on the right hand side. It says you lead with influencing, but you have 2 blue, which is the relationship building. You have a 1 influencing, which is the orange, and then you have 2 influencing, which are the orange, and then 1 strategic one, which is in the green. So you would be tied. You wouldn't know which one of them you lean more towards, but because you did your full 34, you can see that several more popped up in the rest of them. So you went out as your overarching theme is influencing, but you have a very nice balance of all the things. So that's a great thing. So what did you think when you first got your report back?
Well, there were 2 that I was like, I don't know if that's me or not. The command and what was the 5th one? I can't even remember now.
Activator is your 5th
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see myself as being like commanding the room or influencing people. I do like to help people. Like that's my biggest thing is, I just love to help people grow and like achieve things that they want to achieve in life. And so I guess that kind of ties together, but the word command just, I don't know.
It sounds negative.
I'm not one of those like, go do this, So to me, that's what command is. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That one felt weird.
Yeah, and I have high command also, and that's why I know it feels bad when you say it, like I'm the,
Right.
and some people would say I am the, and that's okay. But command to me, and I was just pulling up your report because you've got, so for everybody that's not looking at the screen, inside your assessment, you get what it means for you. So your command reads differently than my command, and your command isn't, none of this says you're a dictator, right? It just, it says that you're someone that's going to lead the way, at the end of the day. And that's that's a good thing, right? Is we need somebody to lead the way. And if it's going to be you, that's great because, not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
So that's a good skill to have. Let's see here. How does Relator, so Relator is it sounds like everything you've said so far. That one rings true, right? How does that show up in your referral strategy?
Oh, I guess just, when I sit down and do one-to-ones with people, I am very intentional about understanding what they need and explaining to them what I'm looking for too, so that we can both give referrals back and forth to each other. So I am looking out for their best interest, but also making sure that they understand what I'm looking for. And I think one of the things that you asked me earlier, what shocked me the most, there was a couple of things like to look out for. And some of the things were like, people might find you intimidating or feel like they can't get to know you really well. And so I was like, oh, well, I hope they don't think that, so some of the things to look out for, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, those are blind spots.
Myself.
Yeah, they give you a little heads up for blind spots that you may or may not know. And again, I feel like, because we were talking earlier about the management, when you manage people early, you learn what not to do often as much as you learn what to do. And sometimes that hard charging for me was, take the hill, which is some command can be that. It can also be like, whoops, you got to wait and make sure everybody's with you, right? If they're not following you, it doesn't really matter because you're just on your own. So,
Right.
but Relator loves typically, and my number two is Relator. So Relator likes to get to know a smaller group of people really well. So which seems to play out, well with BNI as we have our inner circle, right? As
Yes.
these are the people. I actually got an email sent to me the other day about this is a special thing for you can send this just to your inner circle. And I was like, oh, okay, let me just ask my group, right? Because they're the people that would benefit. It was just like, oh, what are the Tennessee license for the Real ID? I couldn't think of what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
But they're doing it where you can show up to a certain place. I won't say where because it's not public yet, but and have it done without having to go to our friends at the DMV. So they were like, "Woo, yeah!" Several people jumped on that one.
Yes.
Show up and have it done in a half an hour. It's better than waiting for gosh knows how long we're going to wait with our friends. But I digress. So, does command show up for you in negotiating contracts? Because that's potentially a spot where somebody again needs to kind of challenge things and get their way. So
Yeah, I would say that, and also just pre-planning for how the house is going to look and feel going before the listing actually happens, in the staging and decluttering and moving furniture around, like all those things, it makes a difference, and not everybody thinks about that. So I would say, yeah, definitely on the negotiation on the contract side, but even prior to that,
yeah,
getting the house ready, and even on the buyer side, making sure that they have their must-have list and their, want list, because you can't, 90% of the time you're not going to get everything, but you might be able to fix things to get your want list. So, yeah, for sure.
All right, and Futuristic looks, forward out a ways. So how far ahead do you look? And, are you thinking about what does that look like? Is it listings? Is it pipeline building? Is it how far out are we?
Oh, yes. I am a planner. And so I have a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, and then I have my year by year plan. And then I even do the 12-week year. So I don't know if you're familiar with that book, but I can't remember who wrote it. But anyway, it's a book called The 12-Week Year, where you take your goals for the year and you break them, you take it back, to the 12 weeks, and then you reach those goals. Because sometimes you make big lofty goals for the full year, and you get through quarter one and you're like, oh, well, I've already missed that one, so you stop focusing on it. But if you just break it down to the first 12 weeks and then the next 12, then you've got smaller things to smaller goals to reach, so they're a little more attainable.
Okay, that makes sense. And positivity kind of plays out all over the place. So, how do you feel like that impacts, because you are the president, how do you feel like that impacts the culture of your chapter?
That's one of my biggest pet peeves is negativity. I don't like any negativity at all. And if there's a reason behind it, then let's find out the reason and the source, and then let's solve that. But just negativity to be negative is just not something that I'm willing to even, we won't even have that conversation. So just move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that, if you focus on the positive, what you think about grows and builds. And so if you think about positive things and you think about growth and you think about all the things that can be the futuristic side, then those things are more likely to happen. So don't think about negative, because it's just going to attract more of it.
Yeah, it sounds like a particular friend of ours that
yes,
that
yes.
So Kelly and I are both from the Sue Bryce School of Mindset. That what you focus on grows, and
Yes.
if you want to focus on all the things that you're losing, then you're going to lose more things, like money.
Exactly.
Yeah, how much money I don't have does not make more money grow. So
No.
yeah. and it works. It does work. It's worked for me.
Yes.
All right.
Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems.
So now you are recruiting agents under your brand. How has your background influenced how you're building your team?
I think the biggest thing for me is being an entrepreneur and seeing how starting the photography business, going through hardship with, not just health, but the COVID and all the things that happened, between 2020 and 2024 for me, taught me about entrepreneurship and how to keep going and how to just, reframe and pivot and do things a different way. And so I just love helping people do that as well. And especially in real estate, there's a lot of lead sources that you can pay for, and there's all different ways for realtors to get leads or people to work with. And so my biggest thing is being able to teach them how to attract their clients instead of having to chase them. And to me, that's been the biggest aha moment. And same thing with B&I. Like, we want to attract people to B&I that are a good fit, that we can refer to, and not go chasing everybody to be in B&I, because that's just not everybody's meant for it. So
yeah. What's the secret sauce that you've found so far?
As far as
attracting people to you, sorry.
It's not one thing, it's a lot of things, but for me, it's about people getting to know me. And the only way that I know to do that is by creating videos. So I do a ton of videos. If you follow me on social media, you've seen them. But it's a way for people to know me before they actually meet me in person. And so when they meet me, they're like, oh, she's real. That's exactly who she is on camera. So it's just a way to educate them, and hopefully they come to me when it's time.
And it looks as though you might have embraced AI. Is that a true story?
Yes, I have embraced AI, but I use it as a tool and not as, the golden rule.
Right.
I tell it what I'm looking to do, what I'm looking to accomplish, and it gives me back ways to do that. So, and then I pick and choose what I think would work best for me. And so I do a lot of Chat GPT. Chat's my friend.
And even just the video stuff looks like it's got a little enhancement that is a little next level, I guess, in a great way. Yeah,
well, thank you. Really, the only thing I do there is the virtual backgrounds and what I'm saying in the scripts comes from AI.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm a full embracer of AI myself. So it's, I think that there's no reason not to use tools. In fact, it's kind of like, if we hearken back to, I don't remember when it started, but the internet, social media, when we look at the beginning days of social media, people were very like, oh, I'm not in. And now obviously it's crazy because we're, and I was selling .com before the internet actually started, not before, it's been around for longer than me, but it's where it started to get where everybody needed to put their stuff on it. So, every new transition of thing, new tools is, oh, I don't know, and it certain people gravitate towards it, start using it, like it, make it work for them. Others kind of come like, it's the bell curve, and then some never do, and they get left behind. There are still people that don't use social media for marketing their business, which to me is crazy, but you've got to be doing some of the things that keep you in, the ones that are innovating. We have one of our the core values is innovation, right? And BNI, and that applies. I think you've got to innovate in your business as well. So I want to move myself back. All right. So what does bringing somebody in look like for you? What does that, how is that process work for you? Like, how do you decide who's going to be on the team?
I just look for people that want to grow and want to succeed. I don't want someone that's just going to waste time and not try to sell anything. They can come to simpliHom, but they're not going to be on my team, I guess is probably the best way to say it. I want people that are going to work hard. I don't care if you're doing it full-time or part-time, but just that you're in it and that you're willing to do the things it takes to be successful and to meet your goals. It's not my goals, it's their goals, because every real estate agent is their own entrepreneur. And I do want to guide and help and mentor people that are or agents that are either new, or maybe they've been in the industry for a long time and they're just not seeing the growth that they want. I just want to teach them how to attract clients instead of paying for leads or hoping that their brokerage is going to provide those leads. Because at the end of the day, you might change brokerages, that broker might leave, and you need to be self-sufficient and be able to attract clients to you and not necessarily just to the brand.
Yeah, love that.
And one of the things about simpliHom that I love the most is our CEO. He is all about people first always. So it's always about the people, and it's always about the agents and giving them the tools and the resources they need to be successful. Instead of saying, well, you're going to fit this model and here's the way we do things. It's, you're an entrepreneur. Go run your business. We're going to give you everything you need to do it, but you're responsible for your business. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that could be challenging for some people, because some people need kind of more structure, not the structure piece, but it's the reason that there's so many realtors and not so many successful ones is because they're on their own, right? So they don't have that kind of boundaries to like, here's how to work this so it works well for you. So getting help sometimes is a good thing. And that kind of ties a little bit to your chapter, because you don't care, the way you said that was, they don't have to be full time, and but they still have to do things, and that's kind of
Right.
like what we're running a chapter. You can't just be you running it. There's other people
Right.
that have bought into, like, we all need to work together, right?
Exactly. It takes a village.
How have you found that since you've taken over that there's been more, because that's part of your personality. Activator is somebody that sees who could do what well and gets them doing it. Have you felt that you've been able to inspire a little bit more of that since you've taken over?
I hope so. I mean, they would have to tell you if they've been inspired or not, but I do feel like we are all on the same train. We're all moving in the same direction. I haven't really felt any pushback or, anybody that's not in the same mindset of, being positive and, continuing to invite visitors and getting to know the chapter members better. I haven't seen any pushback on that at all. So
Awesome.
we have a great group. I love my group.
All right, awesome. And so looking ahead, because we like to do that, I also have high futuristic. 5 years from now, what does success look like?
Wow. In 5 years, I really want to have a team underneath me. We're about to grow into Mississippi as well. Everything got approved actually on Thursday last week. So we're about to jump into Mississippi. So we're looking for growth there. I just opened up West Tennessee. So I'm just looking for more agents in those areas so that we can ramp up and get the name of simpliHom out there so that more people can be their own entrepreneurs and build their own businesses and be successful. So.
And if memory serves, simpliHom offers a better pay structure than most of the other competing kinds of folks, right?
We do. Our pay structure is really amazing, but it's more than that. It's all the tools that you get, all the support, and all the education for you to be able to run your own business. So that's the biggest thing.
So talk to Kelly if you are a real estate agent and you want to know more.
Yes, please do. Please do.
And what kind of culture do you hope that you build with your team? What do you want to be known for?
In real estate, there's a lot of competition, just like in photography. And so I want our brokerage to be known, especially, the ones that I manage, that we are all here to support each other. We're all here rooting for each other. And there is no competition. If there's any conflict at all, we resolve it immediately. And we're grown adults and we're going to have tough conversations sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm rooting for them. They're rooting for me. And we're just a big team of people that, want everyone to succeed. So.
All right. And what are you looking forward to most in the upcoming near future?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I just, one day at a time, I'm looking forward to getting my kids through school and, just selling real estate and having a good life. Yeah.
I can't ask for more than that.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
So we're going to go to the quick fire. So these are just fun, quick questions, quick
Okay.
answers. So is it harder to land a listing or land a portrait client?
Ooh, a listing.
Okay. Takes a little more to it, huh?
Yes, yes.
All right. Negotiation or networking, which energizes you more?
Networking.
Okay. Travel baseball or listing weekend, which is more stressful?
Oh, travel baseball. Whew.
Okay.
Yes, no brainer.
All right. One B&I habit everyone should master.
Being on time.
Yes, that's an easy one. All right. One thing sellers misunderstand about today's market.
That what sold 6 months ago is not the same price it would sell for today.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think that goes universally, right? That's always ever changing. Best referral you've ever received.
Oh, wow. This one was actually back when I was in my photography days. I hired a visitor. So that was amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And finish this. Consistency works because.
Oh, wow. It builds character and it builds a mindset and structure and all the things that, if you line out your processes and, everything has its place and time, then things just work. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kelly, it was so good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been fun watching your journey grow from, when we worked together till now. It's like, I love, that's one of the things that one of my strengths plays out too is I love being a part of other people's journeys and seeing kind of where they go and where they grow. So
Right.
I was glad to have met you along the way and still have you
right.
around now.
That's right. That's right.
And for our listeners, especially my BNI member fellow listeners, if this conversation helps you grow or think about things in a different way, I encourage you to subscribe because there's going to be more. And do share it with somebody in your chapter or a different chapter because that's how more people get to hear it. And be sure to, do all the things like comments and so on and so forth. But appreciate you all being here. And we will see you next time on The Perfect 100. Thanks for listening to The Perfect 100. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired you to show up differently in your chapter, share it with your team and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're curious about your own Clifton strengths and how to bring out the best in yourself or your chapter or your business, head to TammyZurak.com to learn more about building your superpowers into everything you do. Keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep building your perfect 100.